What up, tubers? Bunny here, and welcome back to GeoFlight Simulator. So this week, I am watching a Falcon 9 take off and land from the aircraft carrier. Oh yes, rockets are a thing in GeoFlight Simulator, but that's not what I'm going to be discussing in this week's video. This week, I'm going to be discussing various uh, locations that you can visit in GeoFlight Simulator. So there is a locations menu right here. If you click on this button, and you get a bunch of locations, also including those drop-down menus that you can choose from. And there's also a nav map, a navigation panel, that you can open up and use that to fly anywhere you want on the planet. Yes, that is part of one of the big features of GeoFS is that you can fly anywhere you want on this planet. Even behind enemy lines in various enemy countries throughout the world. Yeah! Of course, now I'm waiting for some anti-aircraft missile to shoot me out of the sky, if you know what country I'm flying in right now. Hint, look at those strange characters labeling the towns and roads and whatnot. But anyway, I'm going to go over the locations menu first, and then later I'll get to the nav map. So right now I am on the USS John C. Stennis, and the Concorde is trying to take off from the deck. Good luck to you, Foo. And yeah, you got a bunch of other Foos like, wait a minute, is that one flying the Falcon 9 away from the carrier? Like I said, rockets in this game. I'll cover them in another video another time. But so as you can see, the carrier is a very popular place for Foos to come over and try messing around with. So if I click the locations button, watch that Foo. Huh, a Foo fighter. Okay. Anyway, if you want to get to the carrier, just as a recap, if you want to approach the carrier, you just pull down the approaches drop down, and the second option will be USS John C. Stennis. And there, just like that, I am now approaching the carrier. Likewise, if you want to spawn on the deck ready to take off, bring down the on runway drop down, and down here, USS John C. Stennis carrier. And now I'm spawned back on the deck. And now the Concorde and Heliplane have taken on weird models. Oh, okay, we're good now. So this is one of a few interesting places to go visit when you're flying about in GeoFlight Simulator is the carrier. So let me go ahead and take off, and we are out of here. Let us get away from these reckless yahoos before someone causes me to crash and die. And actually, if I fly southeast for over in this direction for about an hour or so, I'm going to get to Los Angeles. Or I can get there in less than 30 seconds by opening up location. And once again on the runway drop down, you see a bunch of a airport. If you click on any of them, you will spawn on the runway ready to take off. So for example, if I click on Los Angeles International, there we go. I have spawned on runway 25 left here at LAX. And now the runway texture has spawned in, and I am all set to take off from here. So why did I come over to Los Angeles? Well, for one thing, there's not really too big a reason, except for the fact that I found this to be a default place for me to spawn whenever I have a strange glitch that causes me to need to refresh the game. Like if I have a weird render glitch happen, it's like I did while playing GeoFS 3.0, which is something I covered in my general walkthrough video last month. I usually spawn back at that spot at this airport. So anyway, what is LAX like? Well, it's got 4 runways, all of which are east to west or west to east, or however you want to think of it. And like I said, this is a default location for me to spawn. It is likely the default location for your plane to spawn as well. There are a couple other airports that I will quickly show you as well, where you spawn in by default. You can spawn into Logan International, which is an airport in Boston. You will notice a lot of other foos and hey, another Foo Fighter. Uh, but yeah, there's a bunch of other foos at this airport. And actually, one thing to note about Logan is that runway textures do not generate in at this airport. So if you play standard definition ground resolution for this game, uh, pixels depicted represent every like 10 square meters. So you need the special runway texture to make out different runways that you can mess around with. But with HD, these runways would spawn in like normal. But at Logan, for whatever reason, none of the runways generate with that special texture. Which is a darn shame because this could be an interesting airport to play around in if if I could actually see the runway with half a sense as to where I'm going. Anyway, this is one of the default airports that you could spawn in. Another location is runway 8 right at Miami International Airport. Now, this airport does generate in runway textures. So if I give the plane a moment and... Alright, I think I'm taking off. Yep, there we go. Bring the flaps in and there we go, there we go, there we go. So this airport has 3 runways that are east to west. Foo, your A380 is a little too low on that approach. But it also has a 4th runway, which is actually slightly diagonal compared to the other runways. So you see that there. Yeah, that's an interesting runway right there. So Miami, Boston, and Los Angeles are the 3 default places that you can spawn in GeoFlight Simulator. So let me actually close out the on-runway drop-down. And actually, you don't have to just spawn in approaching a runway or on the runway ready to go. If you click on, say, Grand Canyon, USA, it spawns you in midair above, you guessed it, the Grand Canyon. So now you can, I don't know, maybe roll inverted, do a nice nosedive, build your speed up to like 500 knots, and then just kind of race your way along the Colorado River, very, very close to the ground, bobbing in and out around these canyon walls. Yeah, that's a fun possibility. You just hit the spawn me at Grand Canyon, USA, and you're ready to go. So yeah, there we go. Whoa! Oh no! Here's another location that you could choose to spawn in. This is Athens, Greece. I am flying over the Acropolis right now. Let me show you where that is. So on the main locations thing, right down here, Acropolis, Athens, Greece. So nice big city we've got going on here. I see no temple for Goddess Athena on this hill. I see no temples at all. Uh, you really don't get too many 3D objects that generate in GeoFlight Simulator. You got these big, beautiful mountains. Actually, if you're interested in, flying in beautiful setting. You can also choose to like go to west coast of Scotland, and once the terrain generates in, there we go. I'm flying on, well, the western coast of Scotland. Got all these big hills, mountains, and yeah, just do some flying there. Once again, you spawn midair, and nothing to it. So actually, there's actually a couple of approaches, locations that I want to show you. For one thing, let me go over to Lukla, Nepal, pause it, and I'm going to get into a slower aircraft. And I think I feel like getting into the Pilatus PC-7. Oh, the jet plane that I was just flying up to now was the Alpha Jet. Now, let me go ahead and get flying. So, okay, here I am in the Pilatus PC-7. I'm going to bring my flaps down in preparation for landing. You see that runway over there on the step? Well, that is the runway for Lukla Airport in Nepal. It's basically this mountainside airport with an exceptionally short runway. Its terminal is actually located like at the village itself. All in all, it's a dangerous airport, and the runway is actually shorter than 5,000 feet. So this runway, and then there is one other runway that I will show you in a moment. Those two runways are the sole exception to a rule that Xavier Tassin, the developer of the game, has applied to the runway generation in standard definition. The rule that no runway shorter than 5,000 feet get this special runway texture. Anyway, as you can probably tell at this point, the runway texture given is deceptively narrow. So, okay, I just kind of hit the ground hard at that point, and I actually have to apply 50% engine power if I want to continue working my way up the hill. So you can see I'm able to get up for some time, a little time, and then actually if I want to, I have to apply like 70% throttle if I want to keep going upward. And then if I turn around, here's the funny thing. Stop turning. Whoa, that was strange. Okay, hang on. Okay, so I just spawned into this airport in a 737. And, you know, this is a smaller jet, but you can probably already tell just how narrow this runway is. And just how short it is, too. Like, oh, no. Oh, yeah. Pocket Bronco. Yeah. No, if I really want to take off from this airport, uh, it takes willpower. It takes a heavy desire to fly from this airport here which is in Nepal, out in the Himalayas. So it is a pretty interesting airport to go to. If you don't mind that in standard definition, the airport runway is deceptively narrow and is a tad too short for making landings possible in too many aircraft. Actually, speaking of short runways, let me show you another airport that you can approach. So once again, in approaches, down here, Wanko E Yarosquin. I probably butchered that name horribly. Feel free to yell at me in the comments if you want to. But basically, Saba. So if I click that, and okay, now I am approaching what is the world's shortest runway. It's only 1,200 feet long. And trust me, there is no way that I'm going to be able to safely land the 737 on this thing. So you see the PAPI lights, and actually the PAPI lights are a good indicator of how deceptively narrow the runway is. But oh, okay. I did a hard touchdown. It wasn't butter. Oh, I'm overrunning the runway. Oh, please, please don't let me go into the drink. Oh, okay. So you see, I just landed at Saba in a 737. Actually, I had better luck stopping in time in a 747. But I'm not going to demonstrate that here. Actually, let me demonstrate how much easier it is to land at this airport if you have a slower aircraft like maybe the Pilatus PC-7. And uh-oh, it looks like a foo is being foolish enough to try to land a 737 at Saba. Yep, and unlike me, foo just went into the drink. So if you watched last week's video, which talked about the aircraft carrier, you've heard my strategy for landing on it. Land as early as possible and make every effort you've got to come to a complete stop. Same thing applies at teeny tiny airports like this one. Land as early as possible and do everything within your power to come to a complete stop. Like I'm about to stall. But actually this runway is just wide enough to fit the Pilatus PC-7. And actually it could fit other smaller aircraft like the Cessna 172 or even the Piper Cub. Those small aircraft. But let's see, where is that 737? I feel suspicious. Maybe I don't need to be. I think we're safe of I think we're safe of foo. Yes. Yes, we're safe. And actually there's one more location that I want to show you on this menu that I find quite interesting. So over on the unrunway drop down. If you go down to the bottom, you see Matekane Air Strip in Lesotho. Now, Lesotho is a small country that is encircled entirely by South Africa. So chances are you can't even see the airstrip. I know I can't. I can barely tell where the which part is the airstrip. Like I said, the ground resolution is so bad over here. But if I release the brake, apply some flaps, well, I don't want autopilot. And if I go to full throttle, and I'm going to take off from this thing. So the airstrip itself is not too exciting because in standard definition you can't even see the runway. But once you take off, and get beyond the edge of the cliff. Okay, I'm airborne, safely airborne. There is this nice big canyon to do all sorts of Yahoo stuff, like whatever you want. It's just cool. I've even done an entire video once where I just did a stunt off an aircraft along this canyon. And this aircraft isn't the most interesting vehicle to use to do stunt offs in the place. But yeah, you can see wide open valley just continues along for miles. Topographically, Lesotho is pretty much just mountains and a big old canyon system. Well, let's say you want to go fly somewhere that's not on the locations menu. Well, then you open up this nav map right here. Open the navigation panel, or you can hit the N key. So if I zoom out, and let me watch my flying screen to make sure that I'm flying safe. Woo! I got super close to that ground right there. So if I zoom out, yes, this gives you a map of where you are on the planet. So this yellow marker right here indicates you. This is where you are on the planet at any time. Now, blue markers indicate other pilots that are playing around in this game. So other players will be in those blue airplane markers. So actually, let me zoom back in toward my airplane. I want to, in fact, over here, you see this airport right here. Uh, so it has two runways. One is shorter than 5,000 feet. The other is longer than 5,000 feet. How do I know this? Well, you see these blue markers on the long runway. Blue markers indicate runways that are longer than 5,000 feet, and as you can guess, yellow markers indicate runways shorter than 5,000 feet. So if you click on one of the markers, you get three options for this runway. You can take off from the runway, you can fly by it, and you can also approach it. So let me click the flyby for a moment. And there we go. Now I'm like 4,000 feet above this runway right here. And I'm just flying by it, hence its name. So you can actually see that shorter runway. I wouldn't be able to do much with that runway. Anyway, flyby just spawns you in the sky directly above the threshold from where that marker is. Actually, if you want to take off from it, you hit this button and it spawns you at the threshold of that runway and you're all set to take off, do whatever you want. Or maybe you want to try practice landing at this place. So then you hit this approach button. And now I am north of the airport, approaching the runway, and now I can attempt to land here, like I've been attempting to land at some of the other airports, like Saba and at Nepal. Basically, just like that. Now, one thing I've noticed about the approach button is that it actually spawns you a little high on your approach. You see those pappy lights over there? Those indicate your desired height. Like, the desired height would be two red lights showing on the left side and two white lights on the right side. All white indicates that you are coming in too high. So let me see, if I get down lower, you might notice that the lights start to turn red. So any second now, or I'm just too high in general. I don't know. Let me just bring it out a lot more. I don't think I'm going to be able to see it on this approach, but okay, there. See, now I'm just a little high. Okay, now I'm on the right height. Any lower and too many of those red lights would pop up, indicating that you're too low for your approach. And actually, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Yeah. Nice butter landing at this airport, wherever it is in Lesotho. So that's how that works. Also, let me okay, so maybe you want to spawn anywhere other than the runways itself. What do? Well, right click on any location on the map, right click, and then you can choose to spawn either on the ground, 1,000 feet above sea level, and it is above sea level. So if I tried spawning 1,000 feet, uh, so there we go. It actually took me to the next safest altitude. Same thing goes with 3,000 feet. It measures that feet above sea level because I'm actually nearing 5,000 feet above sea level right now with my descent. But 10,000 feet, there we go. Now I spawn 10,000 feet above sea level And yeah, you can kind of see how that works from here. And you can spawn as high as 40,000 feet. So here we go. Now I'm super high up. My engine barely even works. I'm heading downwards in sort of a stall. You can see the nice yellow and orange terrain of Lesotho from up here. And now you know how to fly anywhere you want on this planet using the nav map and the locations. So, like I said, literally anywhere you want. So if I zoom out, I could choose to join this foo over here by the what is that? The Cape of Good Hope? I think so. I don't know. And oh yes, if your map is has stayed away from your marker for long enough, the map will return to your spot. I could choose to take off or fly around Madagascar, or I could go to northern Siberia, or somewhere in Europe, or over in America. And actually, America leads me to the next thing I want to show you. So if I go over to Reno, Nevada, and actually northwest of Reno is an airport. Reno Stead Airport. So if I go ahead and click choosing to take off from here, now I'm at Reno Airport. Actually, I think I'm going to get back into the Alpha Jet. So where is it? Here it is. So now I have spawned here at Reno Stead Airport, just northwest of Reno, Nevada. And what's so special about this airport? Not much really, unless you are in GeoFS 3.0. So let me just kind of show you around these grounds. The runway texture is slightly messed up here, and you see there's practically nothing over here. But what happens if I were to go into GeoFS 3.0? Well, let me show you. Okay, so now I am playing GeoFS 3.0. This is a beta version that Xavier Tassin is working on right now to further improve the gameplay. So if I go ahead and take off, you can see immediately. I'm at the same airport, by the way, but you can see immediately there is something different. And that something different are those racing poles, those racing gates, whatever you want to call them. You know, basically, it makes this place friendly for air races. You want to do air races? Come on over to Reno and make your way around these gates. How low can you go? In my case, I can hit the ground where I can then promptly crash and die, which is not something that I want to have happen to me. But anyway, here I am doing crazy Yahoo stuff like that. Okay, so there's one of the objects that you can see for the racing course is that GeoFS racing thing. I didn't realize there was an American flag on there. Okay. So anyway, if I'm careful, I might be able to get myself close to one of these gates. Okay, there you go. So there's one of those gates. So this is basically what each of these racing gates looks like. I can't tell if there's another one nearby or what. But I think I'm supposed to be taking this thing on the knife hand. And okay, by inches do I miss hitting that gate. But this thing is supposed to be taken low to the ground. Hey, there's a yellow gate right there. Oh, I see. I've gone off course. Oh well. Well, let me pull up. Whoa! Oh, you did not see just how close I got to the ground. Yikes. But yeah, that makes Reno, Nevada an interesting place to go visit on the nav map. Again, it's if I pause it, Reno State Airport KRTS. If I zoom out, you can see that it is about northwest of Reno, Nevada. That's where you can find the airport. That's where you can go to do air races. So I'm going to go ahead and land this thing. And actually, there is one more thing that I want to show you before I call it for this week's video. Okay, welcome to Chicago, Illinois. I was here on the in the last video for not last year, the other week when I was talking about the environment settings. Actually, while I was flying around here, I noticed this interesting airport that I want to show you. So once this thing turns around, you see this pale blue runway right here. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. This is actually a runway in GeoFlight Simulator. So as you can see, one end of it does not even have a threshold. The other end, it has a threshold, but it's also the only runway in GeoFS standard definition resolution where the runway texture depicts a number. So what is this airport right here? Well, let me close that out. You see this yellow marker right here. This is Chicago Meigs. This is Meigs Field. Actually, it once was an airport, but then like nearly 20 years ago, that airport closed down, and now the island is just this biggish park over on the lake side of Chicago. Yeah, it's just a big park now, but it seems the ghost of the airport remains. So I'm going to go ahead and land on runway 36. So actually, before I allow the plane to touch down, one thing you're going to notice, this runway is not level with any of the ground on this island. However, it is also solid to the touch. It will detect the landing gear touching down, and you can actually roll on this thing. Now, the other thing to note is something strange that happens when you touch down. And I don't even think I need to speak to demonstrate what happens. Observe. Observe the sky and the ground. Wait, what happened? Wait, I'm flying through the ground? Okay. Whoop. Okay. Actually, so actually this part is completely unrehearsed. So actually you can only hit the runway. You can only actually successfully hit the runway from like this very end of the runway. This is where the marker is, by the way. I'll show you that in a second. But anyway, as you noticed, the sky turned purple. The landscape completely changed. So now there's a contour lines indicating like the altitude of each of the terrain as there are hills. And also you notice this big old sun here in the distance. Also, it tells you an error while loading the aircraft. You can disregard that. Could not load aircraft file. Again, you can disregard that. But basically, here you go. Your world just completely changed into some new environment. You're now in a Piper Cub. Actually, a second Piper Cub spawns in where you just were. So actually, if I get back in the Alpha Jet, so I'm back on the ground now, and I can actually take off once again, and I can just fly around like normal. And yeah, that basically is a strange Easter egg that is sort of a part of this flight simulator. One of several Easter eggs throughout the simulator. So yeah, Now I'm dealing with this purple sky, this strange blue landscape, giant sun in the distance. And actually, that is everything that I wanted to cover in this week's video, GeoFlight Simulator. So next week, I'm going to be going over cameras. So there are several different cameras that you can choose from, and like I said, I'll go into those cameras in that video. But it allows you to decide what kind of view you want to have while you're flying. Simple as that. So anyway, I'll just keep flying around and I don't know, it's like an 80s vibe or something like that airport or world, I mean. Oh yes, runway textures aside from Meigs Field, runway textures just become these light blue rectangle. You might not see it right now because I'm approaching a cloud. Let me actually dive down a moment and get beneath the cloud so that you can actually see. See, there you go. There's the runway right there. So it's kind of weird. Yeah, this world's kind of strange. But anyway, yeah, that's everything. So I think that concludes this week's video. So I'm Spacebun. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you all next week. Sierra Bravo 717 checking out.